The Ordinary Bruja, a tinsy tiny story. Part 5. This is a work of fiction. Names, characters, businesses, places, events, and incidents are either the products of the author's imagination or used in a fictitious manner. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, or actual events is purely coincidental. The lonely Bruja pushed open the creaky wooden door and stepped into the warmth of her tiny cottage, a place that felt as familiar as her own heartbeat. Sunlight filtered through the lace curtains, casting delicate patterns on the terracotta tiles below. The walls were a soft, faded shade of blue, like the sky after a storm, a color her mother had insisted on, saying it would keep restless spirits away. But Marisol hadn't believed her, for she never saw any spirits. Yet she listened to her mother because she was sure if she were to experience a restless spirit, it will be her mother saying, Te lo dije. Hours later, the sun had risen higher, casting long shadows across the cottage floor. She wandered around the room, tidying things that were already in place, her fingers brushing across the charms and trinkets left by the women who came before her. They had all been strong. Her mother had walked that hill, even on days when her health had wavered. Her grandmother, too, had made the climb, carrying her own burdens and secrets there. But the lonely Bruja wasn't like them. She was ordinary, prone to procrastinate, lazy, wanting to lounge and let her thoughts flood her brain and spill like worries in a too hot cauldron boiling over. She sighed, pausing by the mirror with its tin frame, catching her reflection. She traced a finger over the frame's swirls and curves, wondering what her mother had seen here before. Late afternoon the next day, the house was still, a comfortable silence broken only by the occasional creak of wood and the whisper of the wind slipping through the cracks. She made herself a cup of café con leche, stirring it slowly, almost absently, watching the steam curl up like the fog on Hallowthorn Hill. She knew if she didn't go today, she might never go again. But what if he was there, waiting with those words she couldn't bear? What if he was right? That she did have some kind of power, something she never dared to believe. The thought of facing that truth and the weight of everything her family had left for her made her chest tighten. When she was little, she used to think she was adopted. She was so different from her mother. How could she come from someone like her? Marisol would ask herself again and again. To be continued. Stay tuned for part 5.